Hi, everybody. How are you doing? It is Ethel here, your psychotherapist here on He Matters. Thank you so much for tuning into part 2 of our series on depression. I hope you were able to watch yesterday's program where we talked about the symptoms of depression. But first of all, I just want to welcome you and say hello. I know we've got so many different nationalities represented on this page. We've got Zimbabwe, we've got Nigeria, we've got Ghana, we've got Tanzania, we've got Kenya, and we've got Congo and many other nationalities which are represented here. I'm hoping that very soon I'll be able to greet you in your own language. But I'm learning very soon. So anyway, let's get straight into it. So depression, yesterday we touched on the symptoms, and one of the triggers, the major triggers of depression is really a life event that we're struggling to cope with. That's one of the things that actually triggers and gets us all those symptoms that we talked about yesterday. So a life event that we find really difficult to cope with triggers symptoms of depression. Now remember, there's different severities. There's mild depression, moderate depression, and severe depression. So when we get to severe depression, it's more what we call clinical depression, where you definitely need an intervention of therapy or of medication. But today, let's elaborate on some of those symptoms. Right now, in inclusion to what we talked about yesterday, we've also got a symptom which is a change in your appetite. So you find that some people who are experiencing these symptoms have a change in their eating habits. So they are eating more, or actually not even having a desire to eat. So losing that appetite and no interest in food, and even if it's their favorite meal or their best meal, they actually do not have that desire to have that. And then another thing is inactivity. So these are the behavioral symptoms. So a person just wants to disconnects from the activities and the things that they used to be doing, and just wants to stay away from people and stay away from the things that they used to find interesting in the past. And then another one is rumination. So rumination is where we are churning things in our minds. So we've got an issue that we are faced with, but we just can't let it go. We just churn on it, and we sit and we're thinking about it over and over again, and we're really dissecting this issue left, right, and center, and we just can't snap out of it. So rumination is one of those things that is a sign that possibly you've got depression, but more maybe going on to the severe end of depression. So those are some of the other symptoms of depression there that we didn't really touch on yesterday. So let's go straight into the vulnerabilities, and I want to keep this session really quite short and succinct. So let's go into the vulnerabilities to depression. So some people are more vulnerable to depression than others. And what are the things that actually make someone more vulnerable as compared to somebody else? So you might find that people experience a similar event in a family, but some people are affected by that event more than other family members. So why is that? What is it that makes a person more prone to actually getting those symptoms of depression or not getting those symptoms of depression? So let's go straight into it right now, and I'll walk you through it. Right. The first thing is we find that the thing that decreases or that decreases that vulnerability or makes a person less prone to getting depression is self-esteem. So people who've got a high self-esteem are less prone to actually getting depression. So self-esteem is really about valuing yourself. It's really about your worth, the way you perceive yourself, your perception of yourself. Now, I just want to get something really clear about self-esteem. It's not based on achievements. So a lot of the times people think that, well, I've got this big house and I've got these 2 houses, and then I've got this job and this job title, and then I've written this book and I've done this and I've got this car, and that is the thing that gives me my self-worth. I think what we need to understand is actually self-worth and self-esteem is not based on your achievements, but it's based on just how you simply value yourself as a human being. So those achievements are not the thing that actually give you your self-esteem. If people rely on external things and achievements for to boost their self-esteem and give them their self-esteem, remember those things are subject to change. So you can have it today, but you're not guaranteed that you'll have it tomorrow. So those things are subject to change, meaning that your self-worth will always be subject to change. But what we want to get to is a place where we value ourselves, we value our worth, we know who we are, we've got that emotional intelligence regardless of what we have or don't have. So being content within yourself is high self-esteem. People who've got high self-esteem are less prone to getting depression. That's the first one. The second one is practicing positive thinking. Remember yesterday I talked about a negative lens that people who've got depression have, and that is they're constantly seeing things from a pessimistic angle. So when we practice positive thinking and always look at the flip side, remember I gave you the analogy of the rose, and I said that in life we've got the thorns, but we've also got the beautiful petals. So if you're someone who's practiced, remember our thoughts, the more we practice thinking positively, the more likely and easier it will become. So when we're more prone to actually practice positive thinking and actually look at the other side of things, remember the question, what's on the flip side of things? What am I learning from this situation? Then you're constantly on that, pulling in on those positive thoughts, then you're less prone to actually getting depression or being susceptible to this or being vulnerable to it. So positive thinking and practicing it, the more you practice, the more you get better at it. The next one is assertiveness. So assertively expressing your emotions and expressing your feelings. Hey, are we good at doing that? A lot of the times we're afraid of really expressing how we feel, telling people how we feel, expressing our feelings or emotions because we're afraid that we might lose that friendship, we might lose that relationship, that person might not like it, or it might actually not be really comfortable to do it. Well, I want to say to you that being assertive is actually a sign of strength, and actually communicating your feelings and communicating your thoughts is actually something that is admirable rather than not. So people know where they stand with you if you're able to really be clear and communicate how you are feeling and what your thoughts are and where your boundaries are, what you will do and what you won't do. So those people who are assertive, remember, not aggressive, assertive. Assertive is clearly articulating your thoughts and feelings to somebody. Not being aggressive, not raising your voice, not shouting, but just saying, actually, this is how I feel, and this is what I'd like to do, and these are my thoughts, and this is the direction of travel that I'd like to take. So asserting yourself in situations and being an assertive person would actually help you to actually reducing that vulnerability of being susceptible to depression. So let's practice assertiveness, and we will do in other sessions to come. The next one is using the established support systems that you have. Now, men out there, I know that you're not really very good at engaging in those support networks, or even when you do talking about how you're feeling or the things that are going on in your life. Now, support systems, women, I know that we will talk and we will create a group or a support network about anything and everything. But with men, it's a little bit different. So what I want to say to you is, those groups, and when you go to football, when you go and play golf, and when you kind of hang out with your friends, in the various forums that you like and you're engaged with, whether it's academic forums, and you form that really close-knit relationship with your peers and the people that are around you. Use that as your support. Use that as a forum where you can actually just tap into how others are. And a good way of starting to tap into that is just simply asking the question, well, how are you? Just ask somebody that question, how are you? And stopping to listen. And by doing that, you're saying to that person, you know what? I'm really interested in knowing how you feel. And that opens up the door to then having that conversation about how you all are feeling. So I would say use your available, well-established support networks. Use them. Do not suffer on your own. Go and tap into those networks and use them. So that is one other thing. The next thing and the last thing that I would want to say is reducing unnecessary stress. Oh my goodness. There's so many things that happen in our lives that really, if we planned ahead or if we thought through ahead, it would reduce a whole lot of stress. So for example, if you know that there's an activity that you're due to attend, or you know there's an interview that you're due to attend, or you know that you want to take your family out on a holiday, do not leave it till the last minute where you're really stressed and you're finding your passports and you find the passports have expired and you find that actually you don't quite have the money to do it, or you find out something else, or you've not really prepared ahead of time. What I'm saying here is look for ways and try and identify ways of actually reducing stress where necessary. And now that we're in this climate of COVID, the majority, I won't say everyone, I'll say the majority of people have had a change in their income one way or the other because of the climate we're in. So some jobs have reduced hours, or some have lost their jobs completely, or some are having to really think through whether they can continue to work because maybe of ill health. So we're having to, finances have really been affected. So reducing stress might be even just contacting the person that you owe money to, contact that organization, contact your electricity company and say, look, I used to pay £10 and now my circumstances have changed. I can only now pay £5 a month, or however much you can pay. When you make that communication, it reduces and takes the bricks off your shoulders, because then you've addressed the issue. You've communicated where you stand, and it's not on your mind. Do you know that when you've got something that you haven't done, and it's at the back of your mind, and you think, I need to do it, I need to do it, I need to do it, I need to do it. And then you keep putting it back and procrastinating. Actually, procrastination is another one. You procrastinate, and it's still there on your mind. Everywhere you go, it's on your mind, I haven't contacted that person, I haven't contacted that, it's on your mind. And it actually causes you stress. But when you actually address it, just pick up your phone and communicate. And say, this is where I am, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. And you know what? They'll be so glad that you did that, because it's indicating that you are responsible, you are taking charge, and you are actually taking a step forward to try and address a potential issue or an issue that has arisen in your life. And that reduces, you don't need to think about it anymore once you've actually done it. So these are the things that really will the things I've pointed out are the things that will really reduce that vulnerability or susceptibility to actually getting depression. So I hope that you found that useful. I'd really like you to start practicing those things. Remember, number one, high self-esteem. Think about your value as a person. You are absolutely valuable. You need to think about your worth. You need to think about, how do I perceive myself? Who do I say I am? And if you have got negative beliefs or criticize yourself all the time, start to practice actually appreciating yourself. Appreciate the things that you are good at. Appreciate who you are. Appreciate you being a good father, a good friend, a good husband, a good uncle, a good grandfather. Appreciate all those things that you're good at really doing, and start to raise your self-worth. Remember, not by focusing on external things which are subject to change, but focusing on the things that you're really good at and really appreciating yourself for that. Number two, remember, practice positive thinking. Always look at, here's the negative lens, but actually let me look at what the positive lens is saying. Always think about the flip side of things. Number three, assertiveness. Assertively communicate. Being assertive is a good thing. You are clear, you're communicating your needs, you're communicating your thoughts, you're communicating your feelings. It's a plus. It's a plus. Do it. And it's something that will benefit you and benefit those who are around you, because then they know where they stand with you. The next one is really use those established support networks. Go to football. When you go to football next, or go to golf next, or go to wherever you hang out with your friends, just ask the question, guys, how are you doing? How are you? And wait to hear what the answer is. Listen out for the answer. And then that's an opportunity to see that some of the things you're facing, you're really not on your own. Because sometimes when you go through life situations, especially for you men, is you don't know that what you're going through, maybe a lot of people are also going through the same. So it's really important to just start asking that question and really getting into that conversation. And the last one is reducing unnecessary stress. Think about the things that are causing you stress, write them down, and really problem solve and think, how do I reduce this level of stress? I hope you found that useful, guys. I am gonna see you tomorrow where I'm going to be talking a little bit more about depression and also the different types of depression. So we've talked about depression generally, the different types of depression, and the kinds of depression that we see men experiencing a lot more of compared to women. So I hope you can join me tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye bye for now. You take care. Bye bye.